The mafias are the elite of organized crime, and their influence has only grown since the 1800s. Today, we're diving deep into the shadowy world of organized crime. We'll uncover the top 10 mafia countries that rule the world in 2024. From drug trafficking to human smuggling, these countries are where the mafia's tentacles spread deep into society, even infiltrating governments. Panama. Coming in at number 10, we have Panama. You might know Panama for its beautiful beaches and the famous Panama Canal, but there's a darker side to this country that's deeply entrenched in criminal activities. Its strategic location, connecting North and South America, makes it a key transit point for drugs traveling from Colombia to the US. The country's involvement in the Pandora Papers highlights its role in global illicit schemes. But it doesn't stop there. The Panama Mafia has a chokehold on the country, with the top two being Baghdad and Calor. Composed mainly of smaller youth gangs numbering in the hundreds, the Mafia is involved in everything from drug logistics and guarding shipments to contract killings, kidnapping, extortion, and controlling territories for drug movement and sales. Baghdad controls the vast majority of drug sales and has evolved into a cohesive group capable of moving large drug shipments and laundering money. Meanwhile, Calor focuses on transporting drugs for mafias from Colombia and Mexico. Both groups are not only involved in drug logistics, contract killings, kidnapping, and extortion, but also have strong territorial control, especially in strategic areas like Colón and within Panama's prison system. With cocaine trafficking being the largest criminal market in the country and rampant corruption, it is no surprise that the Mafia employs the help of local political figures for smooth operation. Honduras. Next on our list at number 9 is Honduras. Known for its beautiful landscapes, Honduras is also a significant hub for human trafficking and mafia-level crimes. Honduras is a major player in human trafficking, with victims of both sexual and labor exploitation transported not only to the United States, but also to Belize, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico. Many victims are coerced into working as street vendors, domestic servants, drug traffickers, and sex workers. The country's strategic location in a major drug trafficking corridor, combined with signs of increasing drug production within the country and high-level government involvement, places it at the center of regional criminal activity. Honduras solidifies its position on a global scale as the mafias serve as intermediaries between Colombian cocaine producers and Mexican traffickers, moving drugs through Honduras by land, sea, and air. Extortion is a major income source for mafia-style groups in Honduras, often forcing children to collect payments to evade law enforcement. High-level corruption among security forces, judicial authorities, and other government officials align strongly with the mafia, forming a rub my back, I rub your back relationship. Haiti. At number 8, we have Haiti. This Caribbean nation is known for its rich culture and history, but it also shows prowess in the world of organized crime. Haiti is plagued by numerous mafia-style armed gangs that control significant portions of the country. These gangs engage in drug and arms trafficking, racketeering, extortion, and turf wars. They perpetrate acts of violence including kidnappings, robberies, and assaults, contributing significantly to organized crime. What is the mafia without some sort of connection to people of power? These gangs have connections to the government with a number of politicians who actively support their activities, such as providing arms and drug trade-free passes. Spreading their tentacles internationally, the mafia in Haiti form connections with mafias from other countries to oversee the drug trade. Hence, though Haiti is known for relatively low drug consumption and production, it is still a major hub for drug transit and trafficking due to its numerous uncontrolled entry points and internal instability. Myanmar. Number 7 brings along the severe human trafficking issue operated by the mafia and other low-level criminal gangs. Victims are trafficked from Myanmar to various destinations, including Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore, as well as regions throughout East Asia, North America, and the Middle East. Myanmar plays a significant role in the global drug trade. As the world's second-largest producer of opium, it is in charge of a quarter of the global supply and the biggest producer of heroin in Asia. The mafia in Myanmar runs a highly sophisticated drug trafficking operation, supplying most of the heroin and opium worldwide. Domestically, the cannabis market in Myanmar is moderate. The supply mainly comes in small shipments from India and Thailand, with local gangs reaping most of the profits. However, Myanmar stands out as a major source and global epicenter for synthetic drugs, especially methamphetamine and crystal methamphetamine. Much of it is produced for export. And since the 2021 coup, there has been a surge in drug production from Myanmar's laboratories, with organized crime thriving amid the country's instability. El Salvador. El Salvador ranks 6th on the list. The Mafia makes good use of the country's location by forming ties with mafias from other countries. El Salvador is deeply involved in arms trafficking, with most of its weapons coming in from Guatemala and Honduras. The Mafia groups act as intermediaries for Colombian and Mexican criminal organizations and are involved in the cross-border smuggling of legal and illegal goods. El Salvador is plagued by 2 main Mafia groups, each with tens of thousands of members, maintaining a presence in almost all the country's municipalities. These gangs extort citizens and businesses, collect rent from businesses in their areas of influence, and participate in other illegal activities like human trafficking and domestic drug dealing. The relationship between the 2 groups is one of fierce rivalry, and mobility between areas controlled by the gangs is prohibited and punishable by death. Both gangs have significant access to firearms thanks to permissive ownership laws, high gun imports, and leftover weapons from the Civil War. While law enforcement has led to a decreased murder rate, gangs have historically increased murders as a political tool to negotiate with the government. Once an agreement is reached, they decrease violence and help with electoral support. Although the cocaine trade in El Salvador may be small compared to other countries, it is growing and has become a significant source of conflict and violence. Mafia groups are actively involved in cocaine transportation and collaborate with Mexican and Colombian cartels. Drug traffickers commonly use low-profile semi-submersibles to transport cocaine between the Salvadoran coast and Guatemala. Brazil. At number 5 is Brazil, a country that boasts some of the most dangerous mafia, such as Primeiro Comando de Capital and Comando Vermelho. Standing at the forefront is the Primeiro Comando de Capital, or PCC. With tens of thousands of members, the PCC dominates both domestic and international drug trafficking, primarily using cargo ships. Their rival, Comando Vermelho, or CV, is the second largest group, battling the PCC for control over drug routes. But these groups don't just stop at drugs. They're involved in illegal mining, arms trafficking, bank robberies, kidnappings, and money laundering. Brazil's criminal networks often align with either the PCC or CV, and they've grown significantly in recent years. Their access to weapons has led to high levels of violence, especially in the northern and northeastern states. In the south, these networks profit from a new cocaine trafficking route. The country's cocaine market is enormous, worth billions of dollars, making it one of the top 10 globally. The mafias control the main cocaine entry routes, leading to violent conflicts over distribution in urban centers. Guatemala. Coming in at number 4 is Guatemala, the 3rd largest producer of opium poppy in Latin America. The heroin trade is concentrated along the Guatemalan-Mexican border, with Mexican cartels cultivating poppies here for the U.S. market in conjunction with Guatemalan mafias. The mafias operate a large-scale drug trafficking operation, making Guatemala a key transit country for cocaine between South and North America. Cocaine enters the country by land, sea, and air, making it the primary drug market. Synthetic drugs are another concern. Chemical precursors from other countries are transported through Guatemala to Mexico for processing. Mexican, Guatemalan, and Colombian mafias operate clandestine labs, although the synthetic drug trade remains smaller compared to cocaine or heroin. The organized criminal activities are based in the city, and having a strong relationship with the Mexican cartels affords them the opportunity to form a sophisticated drug operation. These networks also engage in various illegal activities, including human trafficking, kidnapping, and money laundering, often involving former military members, police officers, and public officials. Albania. At number 3 is Albania and its terrifying mafia. Albanian mafias are unique in their structure. Unlike the rigid hierarchies of the Italian mafia, Albanian groups are smaller, pragmatic, and flexible, forming temporary relationships based on opportunities. Despite this, they have clear leadership, and members exhibit strong loyalty to their leaders. These groups are heavily involved in drug trafficking, human smuggling, and human trafficking, and wield significant influence over politics and public procurement in areas where they are strong. Albanian mafia groups are not just confined to Albania, they have integrated into local criminal activities in other countries as well. They have evolved from supporting the Italian mafia in drug trafficking to independently managing the trade across European harbors. They form smaller, looser networks around them, typically consisting of 3 to 4 members who seize any opportunity for profit. These networks are responsible for much of the criminal activity, particularly the distribution of narcotics in both Albania and Western Europe. These groups are known for their violence, but also for their cooperation with corrupt police and judiciary officials, and Italian mafia groups like 'Ndrangheta and Sacra Corona Unita, and Turkish mafia. They also have links to Kosovo and Montenegrin criminal networks, and a strong presence in Belgium, the Netherlands, and the UK. There is evidence that they interact with South and Central American crime groups. The Albanian mafia uses the country as a transit country for heroin trafficked from Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, and Pakistan through the Balkan route to Europe. Mexico. Coming in second is Mexico. The Mexican mafia are one of the most powerful in the world and are responsible for most of the heroin found in the U.S. Heroin production and trafficking occur primarily in northwestern Mexico. However, in recent years, drug trafficking groups have shifted their focus to fentanyl trafficking, as it is cheaper and less labor-intensive to produce than heroin. These mafia groups are major players in the global cocaine trade, acting as brokers and transporters of the drug worldwide. Mexico is a significant transit country for cocaine from South America to the U.S. and increasingly to the EU. Territorial disputes between criminal groups over control of cocaine shipment routes have resulted in high levels of violence across Mexico. Despite the legalization of cannabis in multiple U.S. states and Canada, Mexico continues to be the U.S.'s largest foreign provider of cannabis. The mafias are also heavily involved in the production and transportation of synthetic drugs, including fentanyl and methamphetamine. Although fentanyl can be sourced directly from China, Mexican mafias, in conjunction with the cartels, have increased their activities in fentanyl production within the country, smuggling synthetic opioid components through seaports in Michoacan, Campeche, and Sinaloa. Running some of the most sophisticated mafia operations globally, the Mexican mafia engages in other criminal activities such as oil theft, human trafficking, kidnapping, and extortion, earning billions of dollars annually. The violence across the country is fueled by these organizations using military-grade weapons, resulting in brutal territorial conflicts. Italy. At the top of the list is the true home of the mafia. Though the Italian mafia have been avoiding violence in recent years to avoid detection, they are still as powerful and influential as they once were. The mafia are notorious for extortion racketeering. They target local shopkeepers, businessmen, and other legal business operators, demanding regular payments in exchange for protection from potential threats. Essentially, they offer protection from problems they themselves might create. Once they have their hooks in, they often impose their own terms on businesses, forcing owners to buy from certain suppliers, hire specific people, enter partnerships, or even take over the businesses entirely. The Italian mafia contributes to Italy's arms trafficking by operating the illicit arms trade within the country and across Europe. They often collaborate with the Balkan mafia, making military-grade weapons like assault rifles readily available to structured criminal organizations. The mafia are deeply involved in every part of the arms trafficking supply chain, acting as traffickers, buyers, and intermediaries. Some of the most powerful mafia are located in Italy, such as the 'Ndrangheta and the Sicilian mafia. The 'Ndrangheta is the most powerful and richest mafia in the world, pulling in a total of 53 billion euros in just 2013. With a massive net worth of $72 billion and a tight tentacle grip across several countries, they no doubt rule the globe. They do not only manage the cocaine operations, but are now taking an increased interest in oil smuggling. The Italian mafias not only work with Libyan militias to import fuel and illegally mix gasoline with Italian petroleum for export, but have also been approached by Northern Italian brokers for protection to establish new gasoline routes from countries like Kazakhstan. What country do you think deserves a spot on the list? Let us know in the comments below and subscribe for more dark stories from the underworld.